Yo, what's up guys, welcome to a new video. My name is Wildcrow and today I'm going to show you how to mix your mid bass. Obviously the mid bass is the bass line that is focused on the mid frequencies, that's why it's mid bass. How to make it sound good, how to make it sound fat, how to mix it with the leads, with the chords, with the sub bass, with everything. And also if you want to support me in exchange of making this video, you can leave a like and comment something. For example, today you can comment, I love fat bass lines. Just comment that, I'm happy, you have the video, everybody's happy, so well, let's start with this. The end result of what I'm going to show you today sounds like this. And yes, it doesn't matter what genre you make, but in the example I'm going to use a progressive house bassline because I think I can tell you more things to how to mix it. The first thing you need to focus on is the sound selection. What sounds you choose? My advice is that you choose first one bassline that sounds as you want. And from here, start adding new basslines that cover the space and adds new character or adds extra things that the main bass doesn't have. So here the main bass is this one. As you can see, it has a full sound, it covers the lows, it covers the mids, the highs and everything. You know, it has character, that's what I wanted. But then, looking for more sounds, I found this one that I also like. It has another character and it's a bit wider. Then we have this one. But as you can see, this one is really detuned. What I wanted is to add a bit extra space with some detunement, but especially is really wide. It's basically in the sides. And yes, you can have mid bass that is wide. The mid bass can be wide as you want. Of course, if you have it only on the sides, you're gonna lose the strength in the center and it's not gonna sound good. But you can have a strong mid bass in the center that also have a stereo signal, and this way it sounds a bit fuller and bigger. Then I have this one, and then we have this last one. Now we play all of them together, sound like this. Now that I have this sound that is what I want for this song, I'm gonna start processing each individual sound. But really basic, don't get crazy with it. In the first bass I'm gonna use the effector. The way you use this, first I'm gonna remove the bypass, I'm gonna choose the Vox, this is gonna make it sound like a voice. And I look for a place that I like, usually it's around here. Obviously I don't want it that much, I just want a little bit. Adds a bit extra crunchy sound. After this I'm gonna use an EQ, and the first thing I'm gonna do is use a low cut. Why a low cut? Because all of this is gonna be for the sub bass, so I don't want it on this bass. Then also I'm gonna remove a bit of the highs because I have other basses that are gonna cover this space, and then I don't really like the mid frequencies of this bass. So what I do is I just boost it, I look what frequencies I don't like, and then I remove. I don't really like this, so I'm gonna remove a little bit. One last thing I sometimes do is to use a low cut like this. So I remove all the lowest frequencies, but of course not like this, I change this to side. So I make sure these frequencies are more in the center, because this way is gonna give more warmth to it and more strength. And just like this, we process a little bit each individual layer, just with basic EQs and maybe a bit of OTT if you want to change a bit the sound or something like this. And the second bass I did a low cut, remove the sub bass, reduce a little bit here to make it sound a bit cleaner, and this trick of the side frequencies. On the third basses, as you can see, is the same thing, just a low cut, remove a little bit here to make it sound a bit cleaner because it was a bit nasal, remove a bit of the highs because in this case I didn't really like them, and the same thing on the side EQ. And last but not least, on the last bass, we have this low cut, a bit of high cut, removing a little bit to make it cleaner. Now that we choose the right sounds, we EQ'd them a little bit to make it sound a bit cleaner. Now what we need to do is to balance the volumes and the stereo of them. The way I like to start is to have the main bass at one volume, for example this one, and then I start introducing the next one, controlling the volume, then the next one, and like this. And now I like to work a little bit with the mono stereo thing, because this way I make sure there's one sound that is focused in the center, there's another one that is a little bit wider, another one a little bit wider and wider. This way I cover the entire stereo spectrum. This way the mid bass sounds really full and big. So the main one is gonna be really in the center. I want the second one quite wide. This one I'm gonna make it really wide. But always make sure that you're not crossing the line too much. As you can see, it's on top. But if all the time is on the red zone below this line, then you have a problem, you cannot have it that wide. And the last one is mono, so I'm gonna leave it mono. Okay, now we have this. Sounds wide, sounds full, sounds big, but in my opinion it's missing something, and it's missing a bit of warmth. By a warm sound I mean a sound that is strong on the mid-low frequencies, let's say from 100 to 300 Hz. So what I'm gonna do is add an extra sound that is gonna focus on this area. And this is the new sound that with a bit of processing sounds like this. As you can see, it's really focused on the low frequencies and it's really strong there. It's gonna add a lot of warmth. The difference is big, right? Now it sounds way fuller, way fatter, and way stronger. Now they have the right sound, it sounds full, it sounds big, it sounds wide and clean and all of this. We're gonna start with the processing of the entire layer. And in the processing, we're gonna do two things. The first one, we're gonna make the bass sound as we want and fatter or whatever we want to do. But the second thing is that we're also gonna process the bass layer to mix it with the sub bass, with the leads, with the chords, and with all the sounds. I'm hungry. The first thing I'm gonna do is a low cut, so this way I make sure these frequencies are completely clean for the sub bass sound. I'm gonna reduce a little bit around here. This way it sounds a bit cleaner, but also I'm gonna reduce a little bit on the highs. But Wildcrow, why you have bass lines that are for the highs and then you cut the highs? That has no sense. Because I'm reducing these highs to give a space to the leads, to the chords, to the hi-hats and all these sounds. Because in the end, when you hear the entire song, you're not really gonna realize that the mid bass doesn't have a lot of high frequencies, because the high frequencies are gonna be covered. But if you leave those high frequencies, it's gonna sound a bit more dirty. Of course, here every genre is a little bit different. For example, on a slap house, the mid bass is really important and the song is quite empty, so if you reduce the highs on the bass on the slap house, it's gonna sound so weak. Or maybe in some kind of future house or so. But if you're gonna have a lot of leads and chords and rides and all of high frequency sounds, you can reduce it a little bit. Then I'm gonna have an OTT to make it a bit fatter. The way I use it is just move these bands and now reduce the depth without and with. Now I have the sound as I want, so from here what you need to do is to EQ the sound to mix it better with the other sounds. So for example, you listen to the entire song with all the sounds going on, you open an EQ in the bass and you for example reduce the high frequencies. And you realize it sounds a bit cleaner and you give it more space to all the sounds. So just reduce it a little bit. Now focus maybe on the mid frequencies like from 500 to 1k hertz and all these kind of things. And this EQ can look a bit crazy, but it's not that much. It's just controlling the highs to give more space to the high frequency sounds before and after. Maybe you can think now, just by itself, it sounds way too filtered, and yes, but the thing is that you need to listen with the entire song, and with the entire song, it sounds better like this. And then I realized it was still a bit dirty here. Sounds cleaner this way, but the problem is that I'm losing a bit of warmth, so that's why I decided to add this EQ, boost these frequencies, and this way add again that extra warmth. But wait, when I listen to the entire song, I still need to filter a bit more the bass. Alright, so what I did is a last EQ, where I'm controlling a bit more the highs. Yeah, it sounds way filtered, but it sounds better with the song, so I do it. And last but not least, a limiter where I cut the peaks of the bassline. This way I make sure it's controlled and flat. But as you can see, it's not that much. Now if you play the mid bass with the sub bass, it sounds perfect because the mid bass has the perfect low cut and it's giving a space to the sub bass. But Wildcrow, there's no sidechain. To have the perfect sidechain that fits perfect between the mid bass and the sub bass together with the kick and all the sounds, I recommend you go and check this video that I did some weeks ago where I show you perfectly how to have the perfect sidechain. Anyway, for this video, this is the sidechain that I have for the sub bass, and what I did is send it to the mid bass. But as you can see in the mid bass, what I did is to divide these two bands. On the lower one is the same as the sub bass, as you can see, but then on this higher frequency band, what I did is make it a bit smoother, a bit softer, so this way is not that strong the effect of the sidechain. And if you play with the kick and all the drums, but Wildcrow, it sounds good with the leads and the chords and all these sounds. Are you sure? I think it sounds good mixed. The bassline is strong, is giving a space to the chords, to the leads and all the percussions, and also to the sub bass, and everything sounds clean. So guys, this is it. I hope this video helped you to make better, fatter, stronger, wider, bigger, fuller mid basses, and you learn that you need to give a space to the other sounds. The mid bass cannot have all the frequencies. You need the sound for the sub bass, then you need the mid bass, then you need to give a space to the higher frequency sounds. So this way the puzzle of the mixing sounds perfect. Thank you so much for watching. Also thank you so much to all these people here that are my Patreon members. If you want to be a Patreon member, down below in the description you have all the information, and nothing else. See you in the next video.